Hi, Miss Brenna. It's great to see you today. I'm so glad you reached out to me to chat. And since I'm the new counselor here, I really want to get to know all the teachers here at Orangevale a little bit better. So how are things going for you?
Things are going really well. It's been a good year. I'm planning my wedding, so that has been fun.
So exciting.
Been moving a lot, but I think that things are going really well, and I'm really happy here.
That's great. I'm really glad that you're having a good year so far.
Thank you.
So how is your class going? How do you like teaching with Miss Susan?
It has been amazing. She is an incredible teacher. She's an amazing mentor, and I hope to be like her someday with the way that she handles the children, and all of her knowledge has been so helpful. Our classroom is pretty good. We have mostly chatty kiddos. They're mostly pretty chatty, but not too many behavior issues. So it's been a nice little break.
That's great, especially this time of the year when the kids are all getting to know each other.
Yeah, they've got spring fever.
Oh, yes.
So we're very chatty.
Well, I understand from your email to me that you have some concerns about a particular student in your class.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about your concerns?
So we have a child in our class, EW, and we have noticed that in the last few months he's had a lot of bouts of anger. And it seems to happen just from something as simple as someone did the job he was supposed to do. He'll get really angry, and he'll scream, and he'll yell. He hasn't physically hurt another student, but he definitely takes it out on the other items in our classroom. He's thrown chairs, he's kicked things, he's kicked tables, he's ripped up his work plan. He's verbally, he'll scream no at Susan or I if we tell him to do something he doesn't want to do. If he doesn't like the way that the job is going, he will just scream, I don't want to do it, and just run away. So it's been interesting.
Wow, so it sounds like anger is the main issue with EW, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We had his brother last year, and we noticed, we were noticing very similar attitudes and behaviors that his brother had.
Okay. And just really quick, what grade is he in this year?
He is in second grade.
Okay. And do you know, is he a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old? Like, what is his chronological age?
He is 8 years old.
Okay.
I believe he just recently turned 8.
Okay. Well, the next thing that I want to ask you about is, can you give me a specific example of some of his angry behavior and who else might be involved at that point?
Sure. So I guess I could give you an example of what happened on Friday.
Okay.
We were doing our spelling test, and Miss Susan takes the modified red group, which is our low group of spelling kids, and she sits them in a circle, and they all do the spelling together. Well, there was one word that he got frustrated with, and he asked if she could spell it for him, and she explained, no, we're in a spelling test, just do the best you can. And this made him angry, so he took his spelling paper and ripped it and said, I hate spelling, and I don't want to do this. And he threw his clipboard on the floor and stormed off and hid in the corner of the classroom.
Okay. And what was the reaction of the other kids at that point in the group?
They were in the middle of a spelling test, so it was pretty silent. The rest of the children that were doing jobs were kind of chatty until this happened, and then everyone kind of got really quiet and started to watch him. But it seemed to only last for a few seconds, and then everyone kind of just went back to what they were doing. I definitely noticed that a few kids have said that they don't want to play with him because they don't like that he gets angry.
Okay.
And so that is something that I've noticed in regards to his anger.
Okay. And also, do you have any data on maybe how often this happens, or maybe might Miss Susan have any data on how often it happens? And
I believe so. I know that she's been starting to document almost any time that he has an episode.
Okay.
It's gotten to the point where we've started to have to do lots of write-ups because it just doesn't seem like warnings and talkings to are working. We've even had Miss Becky, our Dean of Students, tell us that we need to be documenting and doing those. So personally, I haven't specifically documented, but I know that Susan should be on top of that.
Okay, that's very helpful. The next thing I wanted to ask you is, do you know what seems to cause the behavior? Like, I know you just mentioned about the spelling test, but what is happening right before that that sort of triggers this outburst and then not wanting to do it at all?
Well, from what I have observed, just as in my TA position, it seems for the most part to be when things do not go his way.
Okay.
If he is trying to do something, or if something if he wants to do something for himself and someone else comes in and tries to help, he flips out.
So it sounds like he wants a certain degree of independence. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what I have noticed. And like for example, the other day when they were doing their care of environment, he was the chair stacker for the week. And when another friend wanted to help because they were done with their care of environment job, they started to stack chairs, and he got really angry and started screaming at the students, saying that that wasn't their job, and that they needed to do their own thing, and that this was his job. And we had to pull him aside and tell him that, we're all a community here and we help each other.
Okay.
So.
And then when that sort of thing happens, what do you do as the teacher's assistant, and then what does Miss Susan do?
Usually with EW, Susan has taken the reins when he starts to have an episode, and if that happens, she usually has to have a one-on-one conversation with him, or she needs to pull him outside. Okay. So in that sense, I try to just assist all the other children and kind of keep them away from the situation. I'm making sure they're still staying focused on what they're supposed to be doing, and just telling them that it's all right, everything's okay. We just, some things we have to figure out. Everyone responds a little bit differently. I really don't want to draw too much attention to the situation as it is.
Okay, so it sounds like then your role is mostly overview at that point. Okay.
Yes.
And then are there times when these anger outbursts, are there times during the day when they don't occur? Like, is there a certain time of day when he seems to be being able to handle his emotions?
I would say, unfortunately, the only times that I have never really experienced an outburst would be during our lunchtime, which is from 12 to 12:30 in the afternoon. We eat with the other two second, third grade classrooms in there, but he only sits with our class. And he actually usually ends up sitting right where I put my things. Okay. And so he just sits by me. Okay. And usually he'll just talk to me during lunchtime. And that seems to help. Okay. And then the other time is after recess. Recess ends at 1 o'clock. We have a silent reading period for about 20 to 30 minutes. And in that time, he's either with Miss Susan and the second graders reading their scholastic newspapers, or he is doing his own silent reading with his own book. And at that moment, he is actually, I have not experienced an outbreak with him, or an outburst with him.
So then would you say that during lunchtime and silent reading, are those two activities that he likes? Does he seem to enjoy those two times of the day?
I think that he enjoys lunchtime. I know he definitely enjoys getting out of the classroom and being able to eat. He loves to eat. He's usually the first one that asks to have snack in the morning, and he rushes to get 2 jobs done because we require 2 jobs done to have snack. And he usually talks about his breakfast. So I know he loves lunchtime. The silent reading time, I know at first he'll kind of complain and kind of whine a little bit about it, but I don't really consider those an outburst because he's just, it's like any other kid. I don't want to do my homework, and then he sits down and he reads, and he's fine. So, yeah. Okay.
And what do you think, since we've been discussing EW's behaviors, what would you say your goal is for him, for his behavior?
Honestly, after being in a classroom with him since August, I'm not sure. That's kind of why I've come to you, because I feel like I've tried everything that's in my knowledge, and I definitely need some extra help on brainstorming that. So.
Okay, and I would definitely like to work with you on that. And the purpose of this is to have you and Miss Susan and I to come up with some goals together for him to be able to have him behave, appropriately in the classroom. If you could see, if you could sort of picture what it would be like if he was using the behaviors that you would expect, what would that look like?
Well, I think that our classroom would definitely have a little bit more of a peaceful atmosphere.
Okay.
Just because at this point in the year we're almost done, and it's kind of sad that we're coming to school expecting an outburst every day, and I don't want to feel that way, because he really has sweet moments, and he's a really sweet boy. I just wish that there was something that I could do, and then I want him to have more friends. But unfortunately, the other children don't want to play with him because of how angry he gets.
Okay, so I'm kind of hearing that maybe that the outburst stopping would be a really good goal for his behavior. Is that right?
Just trying to find outlets to send his anger that doesn't involve an explosion within him.
Really quickly, before we finish, can you tell me a little bit about EW's strengths? What does he do well? What is he into? What does he like?
He loves to do word building.
Okay.
And we have started him on the Washeka word building boxes, and he loves those. We've given him a chart, and he loves to check off his own.
Okay.
And he likes to do all 5 steps, where he first puts out the card with the words, then just the words, and then reads the challenge words. And he gets so excited when he can read them in cursive, because we have the little booklets for the challenge words in cursive. And he thinks that he is on top of the world that he can read in cursive. So that's really neat to see him like that. And when he is friend of the day, that's definitely one of his strengths. He likes to be a leader. He likes to, encourage other people to do what they are supposed to be doing. So I definitely experienced some of that.
Sounds like he really enjoys things where he can be independent and in charge.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then does he have any, I know you mentioned that it's difficult with peers with his outbursts, but does he have 1 or 2 friends that he's really close to that he can sort of bond with and rely on, or not yet?
Unfortunately, I have not really noticed anyone fully bonding with him. I mean, he plays with people at recess. There's usually a group of boys. Right now, the big thing is Foursquare.
Okay.
So they're playing Foursquare, and he'll play with the boys for a little bit in 2nd grade mostly, and then something happens, doesn't go his way, he gets frustrated, and he leaves the game. But I have not, unfortunately, noticed any sort of special bond.
Okay.
And I've tried to say, hey, why don't you guys go see what Elayne wants to do, but they just kind of ignore me.
Okay. Based on everything you've told me, and things that you've tried up till now, what do you think would be a good approach for him? What do you think would be the best thing to do?
I've tried a few different things. We've tried to assign him a spot, but he likes to get up a lot. He's not a child that will sit and stay in a spot for very long. We've tried to help him. We got a trampoline for the friends in our classroom who just need a break to go outside and jump. We've tried balance beam, go outside, take a walk in the garden. So I feel like at this point, at least from what Susan has helped me to do with him, I feel like I don't know at this point.
Okay.
I'm kind of at a loss. So that's why I need your help.
Okay. Well, I have a few ideas, but I definitely want you to be actively involved in deciding which to try, because you know your classroom best and you know EW best, and we're a team to best serve his needs. So one of the things that I might ask you if you want to look at is the classroom environment. Like maybe take a look at where he sits in circle during work time.
Right.
And are there any changes in the classroom environment that you might think to be effective?
Okay.
That may work.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. How is the lighting in the classroom? Does he sit next to people that might trigger the outbursts?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I could definitely see him where he sits in circle right now. He has a hard time. He sits really close to another boy in our class who likes to push his buttons.
Okay.
Because I think that this boy likes to get the reaction out of him.
Yes.
Typical boy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having him probably sit closer to Miss Susan or I.
Okay.
Normally, Miss Susan is the one doing circle. I only lead circle in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And the mornings typically tend to be the hardest circle with him.
Okay.
And I think that a part of that is due to the fact that he has kind of a hard home life too.
Okay.
And so I think that some of that carries over.
Mm-hmm.
But the environment definitely, I think, could change. We try really hard not to use a lot of the fluorescent lights. We only turn on, I think, one switch.
Okay.
And then we just have 2 lamps in the classroom. And we try to keep the door open so we have lots of fresh air coming in. But I don't know if there's any other changes to do with the environment besides that. But
well, it sounds like you said that mornings are particularly difficult.
Yeah.
So we'll be maybe looking at some things in the morning that
Yeah.
we could do that might be helpful for him.
Mm-hmm.
Has he ever been on a behavior contract?
Not that I know of. I know that he is on an RTI for his behavior, but I'm not sure about a specific behavior contract. Susan normally handles all that paperwork.
All right. Well, then maybe how would you feel about discussing a behavior contract with Miss Susan? Do you think that's something that you might want to talk to her about?
I think so. I think that it's really important, not only for our sake, but for the child's sake, because I would like to see him get some assistance so that we can all try to work together and curb this.
Yes. Help him reach his goals.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming to me with your concerns about EW, and I just want you to know that everything we talked about stays between us. It's confidential.
Of course.
But is it okay if we bring in Miss Susan, since she's the lead teacher, for a follow-up meeting? Would that be, do you think that would be helpful?
Of course. I think that would be really important.
And then if it's okay with her, I'd like to schedule an observation of EW, and that way we can plan some more effective interventions together, all 3 of us as a team.
Yeah, I think that would be important. I think the best time for you to come in would probably be during the morning circle and work time.
That's great.
That seems to be the hardest time for him, I think.
Okay, so morning circle.
Yes.
Well, it was great to talk with you today, Miss Brenna. How do you feel our meeting went?
I think that this was really helpful. Very, very helpful. It was great to meet you. And I hope that we can figure something out, because I really want to help this guy.
Yes, me too. Well, please let me know if there's anything else I can do. I do check email twice a day, and I respond within 6 hours. Even if I'm not at this campus, if I'm at one of the other CMPs, I'll still respond within that day. So let me know, and then I'll follow up with Miss Susan.
Okay.
Thank